Okay, so now we can move on to the arms and hands. Let's start with this one here. I'm going to use again the pen tool, and I'm going to start drawing from here because this shape is going to go in between these two existing shapes. So I want to make sure that it goes beyond it, and then I just click and drag here. I actually create a nice curved shape. Click and drag. We can switch to the skin tones, and I just continue all the way to the tip of the finger. Then click on this last point, create a little curve here, and then come down here, click and drag, click, click and drag, click, and then click and drag, click and drag, and then last click and drag. Okay, so since this was a very nice smooth and curved shape, but with also two corner points, I found that using the pen tool was easier in this case compared to the smooth tool. I had a little bit more control over how things are going, but of course it's up to you which technique you prefer. I'm trying to show you various techniques for each of the shapes. I'm switching things up slightly just so you can see how much variation you can do in Adobe Illustrator. So I'm going to move this shape back using again Command key and the left square bracket. But also I noticed that I didn't close this shape. So let's just go back with the pen tool and close it up. So now it's a closed shape. Let's keep moving it down, and there it is in between the pink shape and the detail on the sleeve. Now we can draw the additional fingers. These again probably is easiest to draw with the pen tool. I'm going to start behind the existing shape. I add that nice curve there, a sharp corner, and then click and drag to create that detail there. Yeah, that looks nice. Let's just close this up. I'm going to use the same skin tone for this for now. I'm going to change it later, make it a little bit darker. And if I wanted to save time, I could just duplicate this shape and rotate it down. Since this is pretty much the same detail as the other one, I can maybe just distort it a bit, drag this down, and then adjust it in place. Okay, that looks good. So we have that hand ready. We can check without the sketch. It is looking nice and clean so far. We have all the details that we need. So like I said, I always like to concentrate on the larger shapes first and then move on to smaller details like the glasses, nose and mouth, and of course the lines that we will be adding later. But for now, let's just move on to the other arm. Again, I'm using the pen tool. I will do this a little bit faster now. I try to have the elbow a bit visible here. So I'm just drawing that point there. Then I come up to here and then go down. This can be a little bit more angular, like that. And then this is the other finger, which I will draw a bit closer. I just zoomed a bit closer here and draw that according to the sketch. Again, I'm trying to align my anchor point to the hand as much as possible. I can probably go up to here. It doesn't have to meet perfectly that part of the t-shirt, and then I close it up. So let's not forget closing the path, and then send it back with our shortcut to arrange it, and we have the second hand. So that was easy. Now most of the skin tones are in place. Since we are drawing the skin tones, I could just quickly draw these shapes here, which we will need later. There was one, And the other one, this is literally just with the pen tool very quickly. This bit here can be angled a bit and then close it up. So now we have all the skin tones in place. We can move on to the jeans, which is going to be made up of two major shapes. I probably wouldn't do it in one shape. However, since we are going to add lines, it actually could be done with one shape. So we could just do the silhouette of this, and then we will just add the line there later. I think that will save us time. But before I do this, I'm actually going to change this color here, and we will come back to these later. But I don't want to use this color for these shapes because this is going to be used for our jeans. So I'm actually going to select these and change them for now. And we will add the shading later. But yeah, let's start here where the skin tone is. This is a good point to start. And then I actually will use the pen tool again here. So I will click and drag and start defining this shape. It is quite curvy detail. So if you prefer to use the curvature tool, feel free to do so. I'm just more confident with the pen tool for these type of shapes, and especially because I like to go back into straight lines. Like here we have a straight line, and I am going to create a little bit of curve here. I'm not sure if I need it. I think I'm actually going to keep this straight. Just have a subtle curve there, like that. And then keep this part straight, but then we will start adding a curve up to this point here. Click and drag. So remember, we decided that we are going to do only the outline of this, and I'm actually changing it to this color. Maybe just change it to another color for now, just so we can see the sketch better. I'll click and drag, go the other way for the other foot. Go down there, click and drag, click one more time. Keep this one straight, and then here we are going behind the other shape, so it doesn't really matter where I put this point, so it can just go all the way up there and then close it. Now we just have to move this down. Command Control Shift left square bracket, or right click and choose Arrange Send to Back. And once it's all the way in the back, we can just double check that this shape actually needs to go behind it. And yes, that's looking good. These shapes can go at the bottom as well. So I just selected them too and use the same shortcut to send them to the back. So let's take a look at the full illustration. It's coming nicely together. So we have the main shape for the trouser, and now we just need the shoes or trainers. For this one, again, I think I'm going to stick with the pen tool, and I'm going to draw everything first, just the outline. So I will start here, click and drag, click again to make it straight, come maybe up to here, and then click and drag to create a curve, then click again, click and drag, and go up to this point here, and then come down, click and drag finally there. And I'm going to change the shoes for now to maybe this color. We might change it later, but this is looking quite good. Now you could just duplicate this and use it there by using the selection tool, Alt click and drag and adjusting it. But just to help you get used to these tools, I'm going to actually use the curvature tool now instead of the pen tool. So what happens if we are using this? What's the difference? I can start drawing again, click, and then click, click, click. Here I double click. I want to keep it again straight all the way up to this point. Double click to make sure it's going to stay straight. Then click up somewhere around here. I want to create a little curve just like that. Then double click, 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 and click there. and then double click and click in the middle, and that creates a nice little curve up there. Now if I wanted that curve to go the other way, I would have to double click on that point as well. So it's a little bit hard to see, but instead of this curve, if I double click on this one, it's going to make it into a sharp corner, and then I can just drag this point around if I wanted to and get the right angle. So yeah, I mean, it's roughly the same amount of time to draw with either the curvature tool or the pen tool. But yeah, the end result looks quite good. And now we just need the skateboard. So for this one, I am going to use the pen tool again. And I will click and drag. Draw this straight line up there. And then click and drag. Click, click and drag. Change the color just so we have something different, maybe yellow. Click, keep it straight all the way up to here. Then click and drag. And then just click to finish it off. So that looks good. Now we can draw with the ellipse tool. Let's just draw the wheel. First one right there. Again, I'm going to use a different color just so we can separate these shapes. We can decide what color we want to use in the end. And for this one, I am just going to draw another shape up here with the ellipse tool. Like that. And then for the wheels in the back, I'm going to use a different color. Again, just so we can separate them. I will make them look darker. Send it to the back, and then I can actually duplicate this and put it here on the other wheel, which is automatically behind the other one. And there's going to be a few additional details for the skateboard, but that's generally all the larger shapes ready. Maybe one final little thing here that I forgot to add is this inner part of the jeans would be still nice to see. So I'm going to use the pen tool, just click on that corner, click and drag, click, and then click and drag. And I make sure that this is sent all the way to the back. So it's just a very subtle little detail there. Same thing on this other side. Again, align it to the existing shapes. Click, click around, and then send it to the back. And done. Okay, looking good. Now it's time to start adding the smaller details.